So initially, Blizzard confirmed that the Jailer is going to be the final boss of the expansion, as they wanted to just make that clear for the Shadowlands. However, some interviews later on, while telling that the Jailer is in fact the main antagonist, he might not necessarily be the final boss of the final raid. So if not Zowal, who is it? Who could be the ultimate final boss of the Shadowlands? I'd like to thank Ridge Wallet for sponsoring this video. They've sent it to me about 6 months ago and it is amazing. You can put in 12 cards, you can put cash on the side, and it is just so much more practical than a regular wallet. There are over 30 colors and styles, including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. There is a lifetime warranty and a test drive for 45 days, meaning if you don't love it, you can send it back. If you go to ridge.com/Doron, you can get 10% off as well as free worldwide shipping. Check out the link in the description below. I am aware that Blizzard confirmed that the Jailer is going to be the end boss before the expansion was even released. Battle for Azeroth was incredibly vague, so the final boss was a mystery, but for Shadowlands, they said they wanted to just let us know immediately. However, a few months later, there was an interview with the assistant lead quest designer and the art director, and to sum up what they said, yeah, the Jailer is the main bad guy, but it isn't 100% confirmed that he's gonna be the final boss of the final raid. Honestly, this just makes sense to me, as it really follows a trend pretty much since TBC. While we did have expansions like Cataclysm and Wrath of the Lich King where we just knew who the final boss was immediately, essentially from the cover of the expansion, there were also other expansions where the main antagonists were known as the expansion was announced, but the ending just turned out completely different. For example, Illidan wasn't the final boss of TBC, Grom was not the final boss of Worlds of Draenor, and while Sergeras was defeated, he was also not the final boss of Legion. So honestly, it just wouldn't be surprising if the same thing was done for the Shadowlands. It really wouldn't be that out of place. While we knew about the Shadowlands as a realm since Warcraft's early days, like 95% of the information, like the actual details of that realm, the Jailer, the Eternal Ones, is just completely brand new lore. Literally, they just made it all up like a few years ago. So because of that, speculation is really difficult, as before we had established figures and we could use their history as arguments for speculations. Now, in Shadowlands, while there are many hints and hints from before, none of the speculations really stand on firm ground due to everything being just brand new. However, we can still try. Let's put out a few key concepts with just brief explanations into the spotlight that are at the moment just completely shrouded in mystery, but I think these elements are like key to story progression and to successfully speculating the final raid boss. First off, you have the Jailer and the Arbiter. These two seem like they're connected in a way. Two things tie them together. First, the Jailer has an obvious hole in his chest, while the Arbiter has a heart, and Primus said that the Jailer wants to reach the Arbiter. Second, you have the first ones, very mysterious, seem to be like creators, architects of the Warcraft universe, and may even be more powerful and ancient than anything we had ever known. The entirety of the Shadowlands seems to permeate their presence, but we don't know how exactly. Third, there are the Eternal Ones. Jailer is also said to be an Eternal One, the other ones say that he betrayed them, and they are said to be the Pantheon of Death. And lastly, there is the Sepulchre. That is the second piece of this Jailer puzzle. The Jailer wants to get to the Arbiter and to reach the Sepulchre. The strongest evidence that we have for it right now is that the brokers know what it is, and they refer to it as the Grand Design. So these 4 points are, at least at the moment, the most crucial bits of information that we can use to speculate what the Jailer wants and who could be the final boss of the expansion. As I mentioned in every video thus far, I think the main ingredient to tie all of this together is the fabled cosmology chart that I've talked about a million times in these videos. Long story short, with the things the Natri has said and some hints from the Jailer, my belief is that death was long ago a force just like any other, and that the Jailer's ultimate goal is to break free and to bring back death in this massive war as a major player. Now, I'm guessing no one really wants that, not even the Void Lords nor the Light, so it is in everyone's best interest if he remained imprisoned. Or is it? I believe that the final boss and the final battle is going to tie in with the next expansion. So far, many things have hinted towards a Void One and us finally facing off against these fabled Void Lords. Now, while the cosmology technological war seems like a free-for-all, it does seem like it has some forces that are allied or at least on a similar side, such as the Light and Life or the Titans. So what if the Void makes an alliance with the Jailer and wants to actually help him break free in order to create more chaos, as that is essentially their main goal? So here are my current opinions on who could be the final boss. I believe that the Jailer will break free and that he will eventually and ultimately reach Oribos and the Arbiter, and you can check out my thoughts on the Oribos raid in the previous video that I did. He could finally unite with the Arbiter, and then the final boss would be the Jailer in his true and ancient form, which would go with Blizzard's first confirmation. Some speculate that maybe the Jailer was a dark void-like first one, that the Eternal One split, and now we would face the ultimate form of Zobal. So while the Jailer wouldn't necessarily be the final boss in his current shape, he would be so in his primordial form. The second speculation is maybe Void interference. Maybe a Void Lord could finally manifest himself, especially if they use the power of Azeroth, as they plan to do that, and he could also kinda merge with the Jailer or at least work with him. The third speculation is once again related to Azeroth. It is obvious that the Jailer wants our world soul, saying that death is coming for it, so it is possible that the expansion could lead us to him finally corrupting the world soul and maybe possibly using the Sword of Sargeras that is just stuck there in Silitus. Although I feel like this storyline could be left for the future Void expansion, as at the moment many things hint that this Sword of Sargeras, that will be the future for some later expansion. Ultimately, all of these theories lead to Jailer being the final boss, but not in his current Jailer form, but as Zobal, the primordial being, whoever he once was. Now, the last theory I could see is where the Jailer wouldn't really be the final boss and he could be tied to this sepulcher. What if the sepulcher is the tomb of some even more ancient evil, and the Jailer doesn't even want to use it to absorb power, but to bring on the true Lord of Death, someone even greater than Zobal? Sort of similar as Lord of the Rings, and you have Sauron and Morgoth. However, as I mentioned, none of these theories really stand on firm ground, as we really don't have that much information, and all of these are just kinda wild shots in the dark, as everything is just essentially brand new. Although my thoughts are that the Jailer could be the final boss, just not in the form that he is currently in, and that the final boss fight will lead into the next, most likely, Void expansion. Thank you for watching. Check out what does the Jailer want from Anduin by clicking on the screen, and also check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history and science. See you next time.